it sounds really nice where you're able to kind of see that money come in really fast. And especially if you're in a position where you don't have a lot of money, then speed is really important.
You look at it, you see it online, you see the videos, and you're like, this looks pretty easy to get into. You don't need tons of startup capital. You don't need crazy equipment. With a tiny little power washer, start washing sidewalks and start making money day one.
I think there's a really good lesson there where people, whenever they start a business or really anything, like they kind of get stuck. They're like, I need to figure out everything and get all the right steps. Whenever you start, you don't know what you're doing, and it's better to just get out there and try and learn, go back to the drawing board, try and try again until you develop it and get your systems right. Cheers.
I was a little delayed.
Welcome back to the Dough Bois Podcast. I'm your host, Logan, joined today by my co-host, Formosa McGill. Today, we are also joined by Julius, and this episode's going to be a little bit different. We're excited to bring Julius in and talk about a little bit of a different industry. So Julius has had a power washing business for 4 years now, and today we're going to dive into the operations and kind of his story. So Julius, excited to have you on. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So if you could kind of just start out, tell everyone, what your business is and how you got into it.
Yeah. So my brother and I started this business 4 years ago. We do exterior cleaning. So we wash houses, roofs, do commercial properties, pretty much anything that you'll find on the outside of your house, patios, decks, driveways, anything like that. We make houses look beautiful. That's the business model. And my brother and I, like I said, we started 4 years ago. That was when we were in the lockdown for the I don't know if we're allowed to say
the global health event is I think what we say.
But yeah, the global health event. But so we were locked down. I got sent home from college because obviously the event. So we were trying to just figure out what to do. We were getting a little stir crazy in the house, just being inside all the time. I was actually still working at a bike shop, but I was 3 years at this place now, and I was like super over it. Wanted to get out and really start making my own money. I was testing the waters with other businesses, like some Amazon drop shipping stuff. I was doing eBay selling and all that, but I needed something that was, could take me out of my job, and that's something I wanted to create a real business with. So none of that online stuff really worked for me too well in the beginning. So one day my dad asked us to wash the house, and immediately something clicked where we're like, there's a lot of dirty houses around here. Not a lot of power washing companies. We did a quick Google search. Tons of landscaping companies, painters, all that stuff. Not a lot of pressure washing companies. So we're like, hey, we could probably make some good money doing this. So first we practiced on our own house, watched a ton of YouTube, tried to figure out, how to actually do this, and made a ton of mistakes. But, we created the business, got it going, and lo and behold, 4 years later, my brother's gone doing his own thing, and now I'm running the business full time myself. That's a bit of a brief story.
Sweet. So was there anything specific, you said you were kind of looking at different business models and kind of just clicked with you washing your own house, but was there anything specific where you're like, that clicked with power washing that you're like, this is what I want to go do. This is the business model that I think is going to work. Or was it more so just something, it was just an idea and you decided to try it out?
Yeah. So I think what it was and what it is for a lot of people that I talk to getting into this space is that it's one of those things you look at it, you see it online, you see the videos, and you're like, this looks pretty easy to get into. You don't need tons of startup capital. You don't need crazy equipment. Theoretically, you could just get into it with a tiny little power washer, start washing sidewalks, and start making money day one. So that was really attractive to us. Very low barrier to entry. And so that's kind of why we settled on that. Like, we were also looking at painting because, like, the week before we painted our basement, and we're like, oh, we could paint for other people. We're like, nah, I don't know about that. Like, it seems like there's a little bit more higher of a learning curve there. So I think we were kind of just looking for something that we could start doing immediately and something that didn't have too big of a learning curve. And of course, ignorance is bliss. So you don't know what you don't know. Like, we had a lot to learn, and it seems easy on the forefront, but once you actually get into it, there's a little bit more technicality to it. But that was pretty much the whole thought process behind it. It was just something that we can get into quick, start making money with as soon as possible. So that's what we did. And we got out there as soon as possible, made some moves, got our first couple customers, validated that we can make money doing this. And then from there, it was the rest is kind of
it sounds really nice where you're able to kind of see that money come in really fast. And especially if you're in a position where you don't have a lot of money, then speed is really important. So that sounds really great. Do you think that, or what amount of money did you have to start? And then do you think that that's an amount that you would recommend to others, or is there kind of a different range that you would give, knowing now that you have 4 years of experience?
Yeah, so we started with about, I think, $3,000. That's pretty much like the initial startup capital that we invested into like all this different crap. But we also had no idea what we were doing, so we were just buying like random crap left and right that we didn't actually need. So that's one reason I have a free PDF that I, link on all my socials, and it's helped a ton of guys start their businesses, but it literally shows you exactly what you need to get started, gives you a whole list, what does what, and I made it as transparent as possible. So it's one of those things where you could start with about $2,000, a grand to $2,000 if you're getting real creative, and
Cool.
start making some money.
So I've actually done a little bit of power washing myself a couple summers ago, 2 summers ago, maybe 3. I don't know. Time kind of blurs together. But anyway, I started out with maybe $600. I just got, your basic machine and a couple attachments, and that's it. But like, I didn't use chemicals. I hooked up to my client's water. So it was like really, really basic, but it was a way that I could get started and make some extra cash. But yeah, so we'll link that free PDF down below. So if anyone is looking to get started, you can see exactly what you need. That sounds super helpful.
Yeah, for sure. But that's, you can get started, like you said, with like $600,000, but you're going to be getting a small machine that's going to take you forever to do jobs. And if we're going to get a little bit more technical with it, what you want to look for is gallons per minute. So it's not so much the PSI, but gallons per minute when you're washing houses and pretty much anything. It's about the output of water. Because you got to think about like washing a house with like a little water gun or washing a house with a big hose. Like you're going to want that big outflow of water so you can rinse everything down quick, get jobs done. So I recommend people always starting out with at least a 4 gallon per minute machine, and that's going to run you about $1,000. And then you're going to need some other things, hoses and stuff, and that'll be that extra $500 to $1,000 that's going to make up for that $2,000. And then you're also going to have to budget for a little bit of marketing that you could throw in there, but you could start cheaper, but you're just going to end up wasting money because then you're going to have to buy another power washer in a few months once you actually start making
money. I ran
into
that.
That's kind of like my whole like kind of process around it and how I.
Yeah. So one other idea I had, if someone's like really strapped for cash, but they want to start this business, would you recommend that they go and rent machines to start out, or do you just think that's bad? Save up your money until you can really get started.
That's an option. I talk about that on my social media here and there. How if like you're ready to hit the ground running and you just want to get in, start making money, and you don't want to get a job and you literally have no money, you could just go out there, sell a few jobs, door knock, put out flyers, whatever it is. And then once you get those jobs, book them on one day, go to Home Depot, Lowe's, rent a power washer, get them done, rinse and repeat until you have enough to buy your own. That's obviously going to be a little bit tougher, but it can be done. Yeah. People do it. I see people do it. So you got the grit, get after it.
Are there any techniques that were better for washing houses? Because you said you want to get the job done quick, right? Because then I guess I have 2 questions. Number one, like, how are you charging clients? Are you charging like per job, per hour? And then after that, like, what were your techniques for like doing the best job the quickest, I guess?
Yeah, so pricing pretty much comes down to square footage, mainly for the house. Also, we work in other factors like how technical the job is, like what is the area around the house is going to be like? Is there rock walls and all these like crazy slope? Is it going to be a tough job to do? Is there a liability? Is it dangerous? Or is it just a square vinyl siding house on a nice piece of grass with nothing around it? So these are different things that we work in our pricing, but typically, for a more precise answer, you're going to be in the range of 18 cents to 22 cents per square foot, depending on your market, depending on the business, and all that kind of stuff. But then flat work, decks, driveways, all that stuff, that's also going to be dependent on square footage. For us now, it's kind of just we look at a deck and we're like, all right, that'll take us X amount of time. And with this job at this price, we could work it in for an extra $150, $200, whatever it might be. So you kind of just got to feel out your market, see what you could price, see what people are biting on, and of course, look at your conversions and all that. And the next thing you ask is like actual techniques for washing houses. So that's one thing that we struggled with a little bit in the beginning, trying to figure out. And it's all in the chemicals. If you want to do this profitably, you need to use chemicals because you're not going to be getting on ladders, going up and down, blasting away at the siding. You're not going to make money doing that. It's A, very dangerous. B, it's not good for the home. And C, it's going to take a while. So I don't know if I said that already, but you got to use chemicals. You get a downstream injector, which is like this thing you put in between the power washer and in between the hose. It's what pulls chemical from your soap bucket or wherever your chemical is. And then you have this thing called a J-rod that's got 4 different tips on it. 2 are for soaping, and then 2 are for rinsing. So whenever you put on the 2 soap tips, it pulls the soap. You spray it onto the house, let it dwell, kills everything, takes off all the algae, and then you rinse it down with the fresh water. You get that process down, you can bang out houses, standard size houses in an hour or 2 hours, as opposed to if you were actually pressure washing again on a ladder, probably take you 4 hours.
So you're saying it's like you mentioned that it's bad for the house. Is that just because it takes so much longer to pressure wash it without the soap?
Well, the thing is, when you're getting on a ladder and you're just blasting away at the siding, A, you risk damaging the siding because you're using high pressure on it, and B, the angle that you're going to be spraying at the house is a good possibility that you're going to get water under the siding because you're just blasting up, and
so they're going to get like water damage. That
can be pretty yeah, so you can get water under the siding, and you just don't want that. So, and there's also it's just not safe. You shouldn't be getting on ladders blasting away your siding, especially if it's like wood or aluminum, anything like that. Like it just.
So, like, how much did you have to play around with? What kind of soap? What brand? pH levels? Like, how much of that did you play around with? Or is it?
Yeah. So to put a little context, so our first actual house wash, we did a few surface cleaning jobs. It was like our first real jobs. And our first actual house wash was like somebody was looking over us because it was one side of a house. It couldn't have been more perfect. It was like this old guy just needed one side of his house cleaned. And we're like, all right, we could do it for like $100. We get there, we don't know how to use soap or anything like that. And we're just doing the ladder method. We're getting on the ladder, blasting away at this thing. It took us an hour, like almost 2 hours to do just one side of the house. So we went back to the drawing board after that. We're like, this is just not going to work. We can't wash houses like this. And so after that, I went on YouTube. I was like, we got to figure out this soft washing thing, using the chemicals and stuff. So I hit up this guy that was kind of like a mentor in the beginning to me. And he just laid it out for me exactly what to do. He's like, all right, take this sodium hypochlorite. You can get it in bottles at Walmart or Home Depot. You pour it in your bucket with some surfactant. We were using Dawn at the time, Dawn dish soap. People say you're not supposed to do that, but we did for the whole first year, and it worked. And that helps it stick to the house. Yeah, that surfactant helps it stick to the house. So you mix some of that with the bleach. Sodium hypochlorite is just bleach, so I'm just gonna use that term to make it easier. And then you just stick your downstream injector in there, get the J-rod, and then just soap away. And then that just opened up a whole new world to us. We're like, holy shit. Like, this actually works. Like, watching the algae just melt off people's houses. We're like, hallelujah, thank God. We don't got to go.
I think there's a really good lesson there where people, whenever they start a business or really anything, they want to, like, they kind of get stuck. They're like, I need to figure out everything and get all the right steps. But you just gave a great example about how whenever you start, you don't know what you're doing. And it's better to just get out there and try and learn, go back to the drawing board, try again until you develop it and get your systems right. Because if you wait and try to get it perfect, you're never going to start because you're never going to get there. Just get out there and start. Get out there and realize that you shouldn't be blasting away on a ladder.
That's what I tell people, yeah.
You would have never found that.
But regardless, if you don't know anything, just get out there, get some jobs, get some confidence. You're not going to do anything with just sitting behind a computer screen watching YouTube, So.
And you wouldn't have even known what to look for in YouTube if you hadn't got out there and started blasting too. So.
Yeah, exactly. And you get some data on what you actually need to know, and then you're able to kind of dial it down, figure out what exactly do you need to do. And you just
how did you meet the old guy who needed just one side of his house? Like, how'd you get your first clients, all that kind of thing?
I want to take a quick moment to interrupt the podcast and talk about this video's sponsor, OA Alphas. OA Alphas offers high quality leads lists to help you grow and scale your online arbitrage business. Whenever I started getting into online arbitrage, leads lists were foundational for helping me understand the OA business and growing my business to its height. OA Alphas allows you to get profitable online arbitrage product leads every single day, Monday through Friday, in exchange for a set monthly fee. If you're looking to grow your online arbitrage business or gain back some of your time or learn more about OA, then I highly recommend you check out the link down below to visit oaalphas.com and start receiving those profitable leads every single day. Thank you, OA Alphas, for sponsoring this episode.
So I believe that was a home advisor lead. So we actually signed up for Home Advisor in the beginning because we knew someone that worked for them. And this is a very touchy subject in the whole service community because some people hate Home Advisor, which is now Angie's List, I believe. And then other people are kind of like me where they're like, they made money with it.
I'm not familiar with what that is.
We know that so Home Advisor is basically like it's almost like an Uber for service businesses. So somebody goes to Home Advisor. I think it's, like I said, it's Angie's now. So we'll go to Angie's list. They'll put in a request for a painter, and then that request will go out to all the painters in the area. And then all those painters, they got to respond to it. They obviously pay for that lead. So like their leads are pretty expensive, like 30, 40, 50 bucks. So if you're not tending to those leads, if you're not on top of them, getting in touch with these people as soon as possible, getting on spot to quote them and close them, then you're just going to lose a ton of money. But we were like pretty good with that, where like every single lead we got, we were on the phone with them the second we got it before any other company. We got to their house, quoted them, sold them, got the job done. And yeah, we didn't win everyone, but after running the numbers, like we were still profitable on it. And it did help us build up that initial customer base. But I don't know how well it works now. Things changed, and that was 4 years ago. Same thing with Facebook ads. We were running Facebook ads back then, back when you could post a picture of a toilet and get leads.
Good old days.
And now it's like you gotta have like the craziest. I don't even know. Like I haven't really messed with Facebook ads too much recently, but it's not something we really use because it's much tougher to be profitable with it, at least from the experience that I've had in the last 2 years. But if you're looking to get started and like get your first couple customers, I just recommend getting door hangers, getting yard signs, just getting out there and hitting the pavement hard, volume, hitting hundreds of doors a day, putting out door hangers, knocking doors, hitting local Facebook groups. There's tons of local Facebook groups where all these parents hang out in. So you get in there, give them some value, talk about, a client that you helped clean up their house or why they should be getting their gutters cleaned every spring. Just give them value, and then you're going to start getting in front of these people. They're going to start, recognizing your business, and that's just a great way to kind of build up that local brand awareness. And then you funnel all those people, you leverage all those initial customers that you get to get Google reviews, more referrals. So you incentivize them, give them money off, whatever it might be. But the biggest thing is get Google reviews. You get Google reviews, get a good website going. And once you start ranking in your area for your services, pressure washing, house washing, whatever the terms are, whatever service you're providing, once you start ranking for that on Google in your local area, like that's when your phone starts to ring organically, and that's when the game starts to change. That's when you start to see, the exponential growth in the numbers that you're putting up every month. So like we invest a lot into our SEO, and we focus heavily on getting reviews and stuff like that. So that's one of the biggest things that a lot of business owners miss out on, because when you think about it, when you need something and you don't already have a guy, like what do you do? Or if you're in another city or somewhere else where you're looking for a food spot, what are you gonna do? Like I want Mexican.
Google it.
I'm in Texas.
Yep.
Look it up. Yep. And then whatever you see top 3 usually.
Yeah.
Whoever's got the most reviews, the best pictures. That's pretty much where you're gonna go.
So how did you learn how to have good SEO, good pictures, everything like that? Was it more just research and trial and error? Did you maybe have a mentor or someone on your team?
So for like the technical SEO stuff now that we do, we have that outsourced. We have a company that we work with. But in the beginning, like I just knew. I was like, it made sense to me. I was like, people search Google for things. And I think I might have known from like some other businesses or whatever doing research, but I just saw how much value there was in having a good local ranking. And I was like, we need to get in front of people. Like people search Google when they need something, when they need power washing, when they're painting, whatever it might be. So like, that's where we need to be. We need to get in front of these people because they're not only searching for it, like they're warm leads. Like they're motivated buyers, as opposed to Facebook where you're just trying to interrupt someone and they're scrolling and get them to maybe click on your ad. So yeah, we were getting reviews from day one, which is like the best thing that's like the one thing we did right in the beginning was get reviews.
But that's really good though, because I know that I've been on Google and I've been like unsure. And as soon as you go to the reviews, I mean, the first 2 or 3 reviews, you're like, I'm going to double down and buy this or I'm not. You're 100% right. Like, yeah, you get good reviews, people will buy it. Yeah.
Do you ever get bad reviews?
Exactly. We still haven't gotten a bad review on Google.
Wow. Gee whiz.
So I think we're still all 5 stars. I think one time we got a 4-star on Facebook.
some
like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but but it's not the worst thing in the world if you get a bad review, from what I've heard, because it makes your account look a little bit more legit. Like people might see our account and see 120 5-star reviews and they're like, all right, this might be a little sketchy, but
I need a 4.9.
No, yeah. But I'm not complaining. I'm gonna keep getting those good reviews as long as possible. And
yeah,
that's
could you walk us through how the business actually operates? If you have a team or who's out there doing the work and everything.
Yeah. So this year was a big year because my brother left, and I had to take on his whole role in the company, which was all the customer communications, sending the quotes and all that, scheduling, all the admin stuff. So I
That was
hired
gonna
a
be my next
VA
question.
to do that. So we now have a virtual assistant in the Philippines. She handles all of our customer communications, handles emails, takes phone calls, all of our inbound leads, and then does scheduling. We do all of our quoting online now. So like we'll take a look at, she'll get the call in, look at the house online. If we can get a good picture of it from Google Earth or Zillow, whatever it might be, then we could send them a quote right online. And if not, if it's like a big project, I'll go quote in person and she'll schedule that. And then in terms of like our field team, I had a full-time guy working with me this year. So he was like my first like real hire. Because like for the past 3 years, like it wasn't like we weren't crazy, I guess, consistently busy. Like we hired a dude last year, but it was tough being that like it was me and my brother, and then we also had this guy. So we weren't making really enough to keep him on. I'd say we hired him during our slow season, as it started to get slow. So kind of a big mistake. We weren't able to give him work, and then he left. Whatever. So this year I hired a full-time guy right from the start, and he was doing a lot of jobs on his own. But then I had to let him go for certain reasons, and then we also do Christmas lighting. So this is like right as we're getting into the Christmas lighting thing. So then I hired another guy, and it was getting a little crazy this year trying to train someone on Christmas lighting and exterior cleaning at the same time. Things kind of got crazy, and then he ended up leaving as well. So now going into next year, I'm rebuilding the team, and I'm creating all the process and everything we need to have someone come on full time, be like my actual field manager. I'm planning on salarying. I want to get salary somebody, keep them on, and now we have the numbers to support that. So that's like the big goal for this year.
What are some things that you look for when you're hiring someone?
A, they can't be scared to go on a ladder because when you're doing Christmas lighting or roof washing, you're going to be up there. B, they just got to be mentally sane, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like, I just got to see that I can kind of connect with them and that they're not like lights are on, nobody's home type of deal, And I'm still dialing in my hiring process because I've only hired at this point three field techs. So I'm still figuring out what to actually look for, how to qualify people. But a lot of that happens in the process in the actual hiring process where, if I'm going on Indeed, posting job offers on Indeed or job listings, I get a ton of applicants. You'll go through I'll look at where they are location wise. Like, are they going to be able to get here every day at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., whatever it is? What have they done in the past? Why are they looking for another job? Have they been bouncing around jobs like crazy? Are they someone who's going to be reliable, or do they seem like they're, one of those people that just, like I said, just jumps around from job to job? So this year is really going to be like focused on finding the right person who's dedicated, reliable. They don't have to be like crazy smart because I don't know how many what the job pool is gonna or the employee pool is gonna look like for that, but yeah, that's pretty much.
Have you thought about
deal with that?
So this is how I first started working for Logan. I was working at a summer camp, so obviously they weren't paying me anything, and I needed some extra cash on the side. And I knew Logan had this business, so I was like, "Hey, you ever need any help? You let me know." And Logan was like, "Oh yeah, sure." And then he hit me up and he was like, "Hey, can you help me, like, just get some grudge work out of the way?" And I came in and I was literally scraping tags, like stickers, clearance stickers off of tags. That's what I was doing the first time I worked for him. Little did I know in that moment he was thinking he was just hiring me for that day. And then he was like, "Well, you did a good job. I'll bring you back on another time." So have you like thought about like making part of your interview process like them just working a shift, and like then you get to see them in the job, and then it's not like a contractual like, "Oh, I've hired this person, now I have to go through like a firing process." It's like part of their interview, like they work it. You already have that.
Yeah, for sure. So like we do have like a little month, or not a month, but like a 2-week trial period, and that might be too much because then at that point it's like they're just working for the company. So that's something that I'm trying to dial in. Like, what is a good time frame? Probably just one day. where
Yeah.
you come work for me for a day, see how you are. I'll see how you work in the field.
Put that on.
Just how you are as a person.
Put that on Indeed. Just like, hey, show up at this location, bring jeans, shoes, and then they think it's a job interview, and they're like, they're working straight. Yeah,
Bring
here's
a
$20.
power
Thanks for working. I'll see you tomorrow. The kind of thing if they get hired.
Exactly. Well, that's what I did. That's what I did with my last guy, because the first full-time guy I hired, I had him come on. It was kind of like a last minute thing. Well, the first guy was very last minute. I needed somebody quick. We were very busy, and I was like, all right, let's just get this guy on. Another dude that was supposed to come work with me fell through. He was the next guy in line. Come on in, and he worked with us. Seemed pretty cool. Seemed pretty normal, and that was that. But then the next guy, well, he didn't end up working out for reasons that I should have seen in the beginning. But the next guy, I had him come in just for a trial day. It was kind of just like a half-day thing. Like, let's just do one job, and I'll see how you are, see if you're willing to get on this roof, no problem. And that was that. He did well, and then I hired him. So,
what are your plans moving forward for the business? Do you have any goals or kind of milestones you're looking to hit?
Yeah, so we've been growing every year. Revenue-wise, we've almost doubled every year, but this year I think we're slightly under. But yeah, this year we want to hit 400 grand in the revenue. For the revenue for the year. But my main goal is not so much at this point like the revenue targets, but more so tightening up the whole business where I could really take myself out of the day-to-day field operations and just focus on actually growing it, because you don't have any leverage when you're doing a lot of the work or having to manage people so close. So I got my first taste of being out of the field this past summer, and this upcoming year I'm going to dial it in, salary somebody, and then do whatever I can to take that to the next level and really be able to work on the business, leverage my time, leverage our process a little bit more, and then go from there.
So do you, while you're doing the jobs and making the money, do you ever post, like, make reels of, like, when someone's doing an art project or cleaning something and they have those sped up reels? I feel like those perform really well. Have you ever, like, done those on your socials?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's one thing that we have to be more consistent with that. And, it's something that obviously is very visually appealing. It's a very aesthetic service. So like we always do the before and after pictures and all that, but nothing hits the algorithms nowadays, like the short form reel videos. So one of our plans is getting on with a marketing company or social media company to help us kind of outsource that part of the business, because it's tough when you got so many other things going on at once, and then you get to these jobs. You got so many jobs going on during the day. It's like you don't want to spend the time to just put a tripod down and start recording shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's just me being lazy and
right, but it's one more thing your guy has to do out there.
What we do,
it makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's one thing we want to do this year is focus more on organic content across all the social medias, because that does get a lot of engagement.
Yeah, it's like advertising, and it could be another source of like making more money for you, pretty much.
Right. Yeah.
So Julius, where could everyone find you on social media if they want to connect?
Yeah, so all my handles are JM Venture Log. So I'm very active on Twitter, Instagram as well. I'm trying to crank that up, and also YouTube. So
awesome.
Find me there.
Yeah.
Get the PDF. Hit me
awesome.
up.
Well, Julius, thank you so much for joining us today. Viewers, thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Peace.